This morning, as we tackle this difficult topic of resurrection, this word that represents a thing that is honestly quite beyond our human comprehension, I thought perhaps we would linger on the words of the angel who was the messenger to the women in our first reading. Remember, it says this, "But the angel said to the women, 'Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, just as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell the disciples, he has been raised from the dead. And indeed, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him.' This is my message to you." So I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus on this Resurrection Sunday. And as the angel comes to visit them, to encounter them, the very first words are very familiar to us, are they not? As we have seen in just about every encounter between angels and humans, what are the first words that are said? Do not be afraid. You see, there probably is a great reason for the women to be afraid at this point, because they have just lived through Good Friday and Saturday Vigil. They have just watched their Messiah killed in a horrible death on a cross, laid in a tomb, dead. Then to discover with great fear that even Jesus' body was not there in the tomb where it had been laid on Sunday morning. And if we're honest, the world around us gives us plenty of reason to live with fear and dread too, doesn't it? There are tensions around the world that are sometimes unbearable, leaving us shaking our heads. With all that is going on in North Korea, Afghanistan, and Syria, even here at home, sometimes we are baffled and left with fear and dread. In fact, we ourselves have been coming through a difficult time as a congregation, and some are still struggling through. It's a hard time to be alive in our world today. It's a hard time to be alive even in Greenville today. But consider what the angel says next, not leaving them in that idea of fear and dread, but the angel says, "I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified." He steps right into the next moment, draws them right into the purpose of that moment that they are gathered there. And I think we can understand from our second reading, Mary says 3 times essentially the same thing. "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." I hope that maybe Mary's despair is palpable to us as she repeats this phrase 3 times. Her heart breaking after everything they have endured to simply reach out and prepare in grief her Lord's body for burial, to complete the burial preparations that were begun and interrupted by the Sabbath. It's a very simple request. And yet, instead of encountering comfort in that act, she encounters instead more trauma and crisis. I think we experience that same confusion in our lives today as well. Maybe we even find ourselves asking this same question as we deal with difficulty and hardship, and we ask, where is Jesus in this? Where is he? Like the disciples, we too carry expectations and hopes of faith. And we too often encounter disappointments or trials and feel alone. Maybe we even wonder ourselves in those dark moments, Where is Jesus in this? Instead of comfort, we too experience further trauma and crisis because of our expectations not being met. But the angel is not done, is he? He acknowledges this difficulty, that they are there looking for Jesus, a Jesus who is not there. And so he says, he is not here, for he has been raised, as he said. You see, they heard the words of Jesus, but they didn't understand them. They were not in a place where they could fully understand what Jesus was telling them. And we have the hindsight of the whole Scripture, don't we? And the teaching that we have over lifetimes and generations to understand what's going on. But they did not have that same 20/20 hindsight. They had to live it out on the fly as it happened. You see, Jesus spoke of his death and resurrection. He spoke of it himself. And furthermore, the prophets spoke of his death and resurrection in the generations before them. But they just were not prepared, and they were not in a place where they could understand what those prophecies and words meant. I think if we confess again, even today, sometimes as we read Jesus' words, maybe even as we read all of Scripture, sometimes we still misunderstand as well. And so I think we can empathize with them if we're honest. We too have come back to the Word over and over again. We too carry misunderstandings and wrong expectations with us. We too are the products of good intention, teaching, and reading that leaves us experiencing suffering out of misunderstanding. But the angel reminds them he is not here, for he has been raised, as he said, and goes on to say, as though he knows that they need an embodied representation, an embodied experience to make this true. He says, come see the place where he lay. This is a new and unexpected reality, revealed to them. It is a paradigm-shifting reality. The world will never be the same for them after having heard this and seen it. Their minds have to wrestle with a new and unexpected reality. That he is not here. He has been raised, as he said. Where they expected to find him was not where he was. A lifetime in our world had not prepared them for this unexpected truth, this unexpected new life. When we encounter a risen Christ, even today, it changes us, doesn't it? It changes our lives. It changes our reality. It changes the world around us. We too encounter a paradigm-shifting discovery. We are still looking for places in Jesus, the places that we are taught he would be. Sometimes he is not there, but he is somewhere even more beautiful and unexpected. You see, by his grace, by his amazing grace, this grace of victory over death, it stuns us. It reshapes our perception of reality. And sometimes that realization can come at the moment of conversion. Sometimes that paradigm shift comes when we first get to know Jesus. Sometimes it comes years later. But when it does, our whole world gets blown open and turned upside down. So the angel says to them, knowing that in this new paradigm shift, this new unexpected life, they have to have a way to respond. He says to them, then go quickly and tell his disciples. And then we see that the whole rest of the New Testament is shaped by this telling the whole world of the story of resurrection. The story of mercy and grace and love that triumphs over death, triumphs over even death. Their lives were so utterly changed that they were compelled by grace and love, by an unexpected and amazing new life. They faced terrible trials, rejection, torture, and horrible deaths. But they never gave up the testimony of their faith, not one of them. Earlier this weekend, I was reading, Colson wrote something about the Nixon-Watergate scandal, and how that group of men couldn't even keep it together to keep their stories straight for 3 weeks. And they weren't even facing life and death. But this amazing thing where the disciples, through their lifetimes of trial and difficulty, facing horrific deaths, never once gave up their testimony of the truth of resurrection. And as their lives are changed, so too are our lives changed when we encounter the love of Christ. We grow to find that we can face our own terrible trials. We grow to find that our hearts are opened in profound ways and expanded to love others as we would not expect. We grow to find that the difficulties that we face are not quite so big. Our perspective is shifted and given life, a new birth of joy. We grow to find that we live in victory instead of fear. And so, following the words that the angel said to them, their response was just that. So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy. A beautiful example that our choir, our cherubim junior choir, did earlier when they said, we'll go tell the story, and they spread out amongst all of you. And so I hope that that will be our response following that example as well. That this life changed by and committed to following Jesus, yes, it's not that easy. Yes, the record of their testimonies assures us that the early disciples had great trials. We know from historical records that they had painful ends. And we know from the biblical record that they had a painful journey. We know that their faith did not automatically lead to ease or comfort. And again, just like their lives, our lives too, we know from our own experiences, don't we, that we do not always meet joyful ends. Sometimes they are very painful. And we know from our own experiences that our journeys are not always the most joyful, are they? Sometimes they're very painful. And we know that our faith does not automatically lead to ease or comfort. But the life transformed in the resurrection love of Jesus is the greatest of joys, overcoming the greatest of adversities. The record of the disciples' lives testifies to that great joy and conviction of faith. The joy and perseverance they embody gives a testimony. The result of that perseverance is a world transformed. That transformation brings life, love, compassion, and hope. Let our lives also be testimonies of overcoming joy and conviction. Our congregation has a testimony of overcoming life, of a life amongst us that overcomes. Many of the people in our congregation have individual testimonies of this overcoming life, a life that overcomes. And so we have this hope of resurrection to share amongst ourselves and with the community around us, that the whole world might be reshaped by this joy and this resurrection. I hope that on this Easter Sunday, it will be true for you.